طيب okay. طيب when we talk about roof of the skull, okay, and the temporal fossa, it's separated into two things, okay? Roof of the skull. What is the roof of the skull?
The parietal bones.
ليش كمان? What else?
The inner bones of the skull.
If I tell you roof of the skull, what are you thinking of?
I'm thinking about
Frontal, parietal, and occipital maybe.
Okay. So basically the cap. يعني if I slice my head this way, I remove the cap, this is the roof of the skull. حلو؟ ليش طبعا؟ اعمل yes. نشوف.
parietal bones,
Okay.
frontal and occipital.
If I cut and I remove the cap, حلو, and then I remove my brain, that first thing I remove, the cap above the brain, is the roof of the skull. He needs you to tell him functions, borders of the roof of the skull, why is it important, what's the function of the roof of the skull?
Protecting the brain.
And he also needs to tell you what bones are involved in it. Okay? So, number one, bones involved. Okay?
In that case, it's only the parietal bones and the frontal bone.
No, I'll tell you now. Functions. 3 borders. Okay? What are the bones involved in the roof of the skull?
Parietal, frontal, and occipital.
It
Okay.
can be the occipital.
So you have frontal, parietal, part of sphenoid, a little bit of temporal, and occipital.
So all of them.
So if I imagine, let's say I cut the head like this, and you're looking inside my head and you see the floor, anterior, middle, and posterior. What he needs from you in point number 3 is to tell him what bones you slice through. Hello? We'll get to that. Now, bones involved, we said frontal, parietals, sphenoid, greater wings, temporal a little bit here, and occipital. So write with me.
Okay.
Bones involved frontal, parietal, greater wing of sphenoid, squamous part of temporal,
Parietal.
and occipital.
Frontal
Yeah.
bone, parietal bone, occipital bone, squamous part of temporal.
And occipital.
Why isn't mastoid a part?
Mastoid is down. It's here. We're cutting the skull here.
Only frontal bone.
بس يعني so the lesser wings, so not the lesser wings, the sphenoid من هون ومن هون. Because
Sphenoid, greater bone, greater wings. Yeah, that's it.
ما هو هيك.
Greater wings, if you see on your animation, you will see the greater wings, you can touch them. They're here. Lesser is on the inside. So you
The
can't
only
see
bones it's frontal bone,
them. Frontal bone.
occipital, squamous part of temporal, and what have I missed?
So again, frontal, squamous part, greater wings of sphenoid,
That one.
parietal, squamous part of temporal, occipital. Function, protects the brain. Okay.
Okay. Now, functions, right?
What's it also called? It's also called as the calvarium. Calvarium. If you hear this word, it means roof of the skull. Okay? The calvarium. Now, this is the most important thing. So many students fail here.
So the only function is protect the brain. Okay.
Only function protecting the brain, okay.
Okay. Borders. First, squamous
يلا قولت معلومة.
part of frontal bone anteriorly. So now I'm just discussing the borders. What am I talking about? As I said, we're labeling here, number 1. That's number 1. Squamous part of frontal bone.
It's anteriorly.
Yes. Now, imagine with me, I have an imaginary line cutting. So I'm telling him where I am cutting. Here first, frontal, squamous part of frontal bone.
Okay, hold on.
Okay?
Can we say and we cut sagittal from that part?
Yes. No, sagittal is like this.
You're
Yes,
cutting
but-
horizontal.
There's a horizontal plane. Sagittal is like this. Okay? طيب. Squamous part of frontal bone. Now 2 here comes greater wings of sphenoid bone. Greater wings of sphenoid bone. Three,
Third border.
squamous part
Of occipital, right?
of parietal
Parietal.
bone. Occipital is in the posterior side. Now a little bit comes here. 4, squamous part of temporal bone. And then 5, squamous part of occipital bone. Okay? This is for roof of the skull.
Hold on, bro. Give me a second. I need to write the last one. Let's go on the spot of occipital bone.
Okay?
Okay, this is the 5 borders.
Do we understand?
This is all the
Yes.
borders.
He says borders of the calvarium of the roof of the skull. This is what you say. Now, roof of the skull is done. We want to go to temporal fossa. But remember, when you mention bones, you say 1 frontal bone. How many parietals?
2.
2 parietal bones. 1 occipital. Greater wings of sphenoid. And then you have 2 temporals, the squamous part. It just touches a very small edge of it. Okay? So that's the roof of the skull.
So that's basically the oral
Yes.
issue of this one.
Nope. There's one more part. Temporal
temporal
fossa.
fossa.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
ما حتنساها. مالك